They say history has a way of repeating itself, and in California, it often comes with smoke, filled skies, crackling flames, and a haunting orange glow that stretches as far as the eye can see. But here's the twist. Wildfires in California aren't a modern-day catastrophe. In fact, the story of fire here dates back long before the towering skyscrapers of Los Angeles or the sprawling vineyards of Napa Valley. And as we peel back the layers of this fiery history, you'll discover that wildfires are as much a part of California's identity as its beaches and Hollywood glitz. The very beginning. Before California was California, it was home to indigenous peoples who lived in deep harmony with the land. According to historians and ecologists, fire was not only a tool but an integral part of their way of life. Evidence shows that Native American tribes, such as the Miwok and the Chumash, used controlled burns for thousands of years. These burns served numerous purposes: clearing land for crops, promoting the growth of edible plants, and reducing underbrush that could fuel catastrophic fires. This practice, known as cultural burning, was incredibly sophisticated. Recent studies, including those published in Fire Ecology, have shown that these intentional fires helped maintain biodiversity, reduced pests, and even shaped the landscapes that early European settlers found so picturesque. For native tribes, fire was a friend, not a foe, a force to be harnessed, not feared. But that all began to change in the late 18th century when Spanish settlers arrived. In 1769, the Portola expedition made its way up the California coast, and with it came livestock, farming, and a new approach to land management. The Spanish introduced grazing animals that devoured native grasses, disrupting the natural fire cycles. Then, in 1848, the discovery of gold sparked a migration frenzy. As prospectors poured into the state, forests were cleared for mining, leaving behind piles of debris. These remnants of human activity created the perfect fuel for wildfires. One of the earliest recorded wildfires occurred in 1853 near Yuba City. It wasn't the first fire to burn in California, but it marked a turning point. Unlike the controlled burns of the native tribes, this fire raged uncontrollably, consuming thousands of acres. It was a harbinger of what was to come, a series of devastating fires fueled by human activity and environmental changes. Fast forward to the late 19th century, and the situation had grown more dire. By this time, California was experiencing rapid industrialization. Railroads crisscrossed the state, and sparks from locomotives frequently ignited dry vegetation. In 1889, the Santiago Canyon Fire scorched over 300,000 acres in Orange County, making it one of the largest wildfires of its time. Then came the 20th century, a period that would forever alter California's relationship with fire. In 1910, the Big Burn tore through 3 million acres across northeastern Washington, northern Idaho, and western Montana, creating a ripple effect that reached California. This disaster was pivotal. According to the U.S. Forest Service, it led to the adoption of an aggressive fire suppression policy. The idea was simple: put out fires as quickly as possible to protect people and property. But this well-intentioned strategy had unintended consequences. By suppressing smaller fires, we allowed vegetation to accumulate, creating an enormous fuel load. Scientists refer to this as the fire deficit, a buildup of dry brush and dead trees that acts like kindling. This phenomenon set the stage for the massive, uncontrollable fires we see today. One of the most tragic fires of the early 20th century was the Griffith Park Fire of 1933 in Los Angeles. On a warm October day, flames engulfed the park, killing 29 workers and injuring dozens more. It remains one of the deadliest wildfires in California's history. The aftermath sparked public outrage and renewed calls for better fire prevention methods. But despite these efforts, the fires kept coming. In 1991, the Oakland Hills firestorm erupted, fueled by fierce winds and dry conditions. Within hours, entire neighborhoods were reduced to ash. 25 lives were lost, and more than 3,000 homes were destroyed. According to reports from Cal Fire, the financial losses exceeded $1.5 billion. Survivors described walls of flame that advanced so quickly they barely had time to escape. As the 21st century dawned, California entered what experts now call the era of megafires. climate change began to accelerate, bringing hotter temperatures, prolonged droughts, and more extreme weather. The 2003 Cedar Fire in San Diego County burned over 270,000 acres, making it the largest wildfire in state history at the time. But even that record would soon be shattered. In 2018, the Camp Fire devastated the town of Paradise, claiming 85 lives and destroying nearly 19,000 structures. The cause? A faulty electrical transmission line owned by Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E. This tragedy highlighted another critical issue: the role of aging infrastructure in sparking fires. According to a report from the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, power lines and electrical equipment are responsible for nearly 10% of all wildfires in the state. So, to answer the question, is this the first wildfire in California? Absolutely not. California's history with wildfires is as old as the land itself. But the nature of those fires has evolved dramatically. What were once natural, manageable events have become crises fueled by human activity, environmental mismanagement, and a warming planet. But here's where history offers hope. Indigenous practices like cultural burning provide a blueprint for living with fire rather than fighting against it. According to a 2021 study published in Nature Sustainability, reintroducing these traditional methods could significantly reduce the risk of catastrophic fires. Small, controlled burns mimic the natural fire cycles that once kept California's ecosystems in balance. It comes from policy and technology. In recent years, firefighters have begun using drones, satellites, and artificial intelligence to predict and combat wildfires. Advances in fire-resistant building materials and community planning are also helping to mitigate risks. And while challenges remain, these innovations show that we're not powerless in the face of fire. Finally, we must address the elephant in the room: climate change. Without meaningful action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, scientists warn that wildfires will only become more frequent and severe. According to a report from the National Interagency Fire Center, the U.S. now spends over $2 billion annually on wildfire suppression, a figure that's expected to rise as conditions worsen. California's wildfire story is one of resilience and adaptation. It's a story of people coming together to rebuild after tragedy, of firefighters risking their lives to protect communities, and of researchers working tirelessly to find solutions. But it's also a cautionary tale, a reminder of what happens when we ignore the lessons of history. As we look to the future, the question isn't whether wildfires will occur. They will. The real question is, how will we respond? Will we continue to fight fire with fire, using the wisdom of the past to guide us? Or will we allow history to repeat itself with ever greater costs? The answer lies in our hands. By learning from the past and acting in the present, we can shape a future where fire is not our enemy, but a part of the natural order, a force that, when managed wisely, can sustain life instead of destroying it. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to know the history of California's wildfires. Don't forget to subscribe for more educational content and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. Let's keep the conversation going and work towards a safer, more informed future.